what Rufus was and why it was even on a lab bench. The object wasn't a ball in the casual sense, it was a 6.2 plutonium gallium alloy core, about 8.9 centimeters across, originally intended for a possible Third World War II atomic bomb. Japan surrendered, so the core stayed at Los Alamos for measurements and experiments. Inside the lab, it had a friendlier nickname first, Rufus. After two lethal accidents, it earned the name that stuck, the Demon Core. The kind of experiment Slotin was doing, tickling the dragon's tail. The goal was to measure how close the core was to criticality, where a neutron chain reaction sustains itself. One common way: surround the plutonium with a neutron reflector, material that bounces neutrons back in, which pushes the system closer to critical. Slotin set up on May 21, 1946, plutonium core on a base. Two beryllium hemispheres acting as a reflector tamper around it. A small gap between the hemispheres was everything. That gap let enough neutrons escape to keep it subcritical. Slotin controlled that gap manually, using a screwdriver as a spacer, while instruments watched neutron counts. Yes, a screwdriver. In a criticality experiment. This is the part where modern safety engineers start sweating through their shirts. The accident itself, moment by moment, who was there? Slotin plus 7 others in the room, including Alvin Graves, who Slotin was training to take over the work. What happened? Slotin is lowering the top beryllium hemisphere over the core, maintaining the gap with the screwdriver. The screwdriver slips outward a fraction of an inch. The top hemisphere drops, the reflector essentially closes, and the assembly goes prompt critical, a very fast, intense supercritical excursion. Witnesses reported a flash of blue light, often described as a blue glow. Slotin reacts instantly. He twists and flips the top hemisphere away, breaking the critical geometry. Estimates commonly put the critical interval at around about half a second. That wrist flip likely spared everyone else from a much worse dose. It also meant Slotin took the worst of it. Radiation dose and who got hit. Slotin received an enormous, lethal dose delivered essentially instantly, commonly cited around 1,000 rad neutron, plus 114 rad gamma in under a second. Alvin Graves, standing close behind, over Slotin's shoulder, got a high but non-fatal dose and became seriously ill. Others present received smaller doses, still significant in some cases. Slotin's decline and death. Slotin didn't drop dead on the spot. Acute radiation syndrome is cruelly staged. Early symptoms can include nausea, vomiting, then a deceptive OK period, followed by rapid systemic collapse as bone marrow and other tissues fail. Slotin died 9 days later, May 30, 1946, from acute radiation syndrome. Why this core already had blood on it? Daglian, 1945. This wasn't the first time that exact core hurt someone. On August 21, 1945, physicist Harry Daglian was doing a related reflector experiment with tungsten carbide bricks. He accidentally dropped a brick onto the assembly, driving it supercritical. He pulled it apart but received a fatal dose and died 25 days later. So by 1946, Los Alamos already had a warning label written in human consequences. Aftermath. Why the screwdriver era ended Slotin's accident was a turning point. Hands-on criticality experiments were stopped, or heavily curtailed, in favor of remote handling, shielding, and distance. The event became a canonical case study in nuclear safety culture. Don't rely on expert hands to substitute for engineered controls. What happened to Rufus, the Demon Core? After the second accident, the core's fate was sealed. It was ultimately melted down and its material recycled into other cores later in 1946.